Hi, everybody. So thank you so much for spending the next 20 minutes with me in this dark room while the sun is shining outside. Really appreciate. So I'm Oliver, working as a senior solutions architect. That is, I'm helping to understand our customers, our platform, and how to use it according to our best practices. Does this work? Yes. So if you think about Alibaba, I mean, raise your hand. Is this the first picture that comes to your mind? If you think about Alibaba and the 40 thieves? No? Not anymore? That's good, because I think, oh, there are some people. Okay. Or if you think about Alibaba Cloud, maybe it's like this. I think this is great, because I think nowadays, if people think and hear the term Alibaba, most of them think about the Double 11, the Singles Day. Who of you has heard about the Singles Day? Can I see your hands? Actually, not too many. So you should know it, because it's actually the world's biggest shopping festival worldwide that happens every day on November 11th. And originally, it was meant for singles who don't have a partner to at least buy themselves happiness for one day in their lives, okay? If they don't have a partner, at least they can buy themselves some happiness. And this has become the biggest shopping event worldwide. Ranging from pure e-commerce to offline commerce to digitized offline commerce to TV shows to live streams. You can see it in the upper right where models are walking and you can just buy in real time the clothes that they're wearing. Also, some celebrities from the Western world are coming there promoting stuff and brands. So it's really, really huge. And what is really interesting about this event is if you're looking at the numbers. Because last year, we reached a GMV of $30 billion in just 24 hours. And we reached the first billion after 2 minutes. I think this is just insane if you think about these numbers. If you put it in relation to other shopping events that we have here in the Western world, as you can see on the right side, if you combine Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Super Sunday, Thanksgiving Day, Small Business Day, if you combine that, it's 24 billion roughly, and we have 30 billion just with this event. So we're bigger than Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and all of this combined together on just one single day. And I think what is really interesting about these numbers is that operating on this scale is only possible if you're actually a tech company, right, in your heart. If you're fundamentally, if you're a tech company, because all of this is really driven by technology. There's no way that you could operate at this scale without very sophisticated technology that you're actually owning. So another look at this, at some numbers, is this slide here. So starting from the left, if you think about the CPU cores that we're using just for this single event, it's more than 10 million CPU cores, just for these 24 hours that we're provisioning in our cloud and on our Apsara stack for this event. During this 24 hours, there are more than 1 billion deliveries now being made and coordinated by our logistics platform. That is also running in the cloud, more than 1 billion. If you think about the network attacks, more than 1.6 billion network attacks in 24 hours. So this also means we need to make sure that our platform is really, really secure and run by really world-class experts who know what they're doing and know their stuff. Also, the transactions per second during peak time, also a really huge number, 325,000 business transactions per second. So I think there are only a few companies who could do this. Last number, which I personally find the most interesting, are these 350 million AI-supported conversations. So if people have a problem on our platform, they usually take their mobile and call us, right? But usually there's no real person behind that anymore, but an AI-based agent who's doing all the conversations. And last year, it was 350 million conversations that were done by our AI-based agents, equaling to over 580,000 person days. So AI, is not a fancy thing that we're doing. It's really a necessity. Because again, at the scale that we're operating, we need to find smarter ways to interact with our customers. OK, so I think if we're going back in time now, if I find it, how did all of this start? Interestingly, it all started with beer. So when our founder, Jack Ma, went to the US visiting a friend, he sat in front of the computer and he Googled, or back then it was maybe Yahoo or Alta Vista, I don't know. Google didn't exist back then. And he Googled for beer. Actually, he Googled for beer, and there were some hits in the internet, like all the American brands. And then he entered beer China. No results, no data. And this was the initial point where Jack Ma thought about, well, how can we actually sell products to and from China? How can we enable people and companies of all sizes to do that? And this really resulted in our fundamental mission to make it easy to do business anywhere. Still today, this is our core mission: enable other companies of all sizes to do business anywhere. And I think this is a really neat picture because it shows Jack Ma together with the other 18 founders back then in his own little apartment in Hangzhou. And this apartment still exists. What we're doing at Alibaba, if there's new ideas or projects or teams that are being formed, some of them are sent to this apartment that still exists to work on these new projects, to allow them to breathe the air and the special atmosphere that is still in this apartment. So you can visit it. I've been there, actually, in front of this apartment. Just looks like any other apartment. And a lot of the most innovative things are now being developed right there. OK, back to today. If we're looking at the Alibaba Group, as of today, it has become really, really huge. And fundamentally, you can divide it into 3 pillars. So starting from the left, you see digital media and entertainment. So this includes business units like UQ, for example. Who of you has heard about UQ? Well, UQ is actually the YouTube and the Netflix of China. It's really the biggest streaming portal you can imagine. Also, the Olympic Games were streamed on UQ. So really, really huge. Also, Alibaba Pictures, I think they were the co-producers of Green Book, the last year's Oscar-winning movie. So we're also in this business. So we're a huge digital content owner, provider in China. Then in the middle, core commerce. So this is really where we're coming from. B2B, B2C, C2C. So this includes apps and services like Taobao, which is the eBay of China, for example, or Alibaba.com, which is our business-to-business business unit. And also local services like LME, which is the local delivery hero of mainland China, or travel portals like Fliggy, and so on and so forth. And all of these 3 pillars are sitting on these horizontal services or business units that you can see below that. First is Alipay. Alipay is one of the biggest finance or payment apps in the world, with, I think, now more than 500 million users every day. Below that is Xinyao, our logistics platform that we're using to orchestrate all the deliveries in mainland China, for example, during the Singles Day, right, where there were over 1 billion packages or orders placed, and they need to be delivered somewhere. And below that is our marketing and services data management platform, which brings all of the different digital identities together into one single identity to make advertisements to them. So at the very bottom of this picture, you can see Alibaba Cloud. And Cloud, this is actually where I'm from. This is really the technology backbone of the entire Alibaba Group. And we're providing all of the core services and more sophisticated services in the infrastructure space, in the big data space, and also in the blockchain space, obviously. So we are really the main technology providers for all of these business units. So since this is a blockchain conference, I want to speak now a little bit about our approach on blockchain and what we are providing to both our business units and to other customers that we have on our cloud platform. Because if we bring out new products, usually we need to think about how will our group use it, or our business units, and how will our customers use it, right? We have always two types of customers that we need to look at. So when we were thinking about our approach on a managed blockchain service, for us it was really fundamentally these three aspects: decentralization, trust, and scalability. Some of them are sometimes contradictory or at least competing with each other, right? Decentralization and trust or security don't necessarily go too well with each other, because if your workload is distributed, everything is replicated to all of the nodes. If somebody has access to one of the nodes, he can tamper with the data, with the application, with the code running on it. So you need to take special care of all of these three aspects. So let's take a look at it. First point is that we decided for a dual engine design of our blockchain service that we're providing. On the left, we're providing a fully managed version of Hyperledger Fabric. So for these kind of customers who want to use like open source standards, use the tools, libraries they are used to, they can do that on our platform. They can just literally push a button and an entire blockchain network will be provisioned according to our best practices that we're also using internally. So this makes it really easy to start simple and small and then let it grow with your requirements. Because at the end, you only pay for what you use, right? It depends. You can start very small, go to very big, and you're charged by the second that you're using our blockchain service. On the other side, we also have developed like a proprietary blockchain technology, which we call Ant Blockchain. One of the very interesting things about Ant Blockchain is that it really is a result of our years of research in this space. So 2017, nearly 10% of all patents that have been filed worldwide were actually by Alibaba Group. In 2018, as you can see, if you're looking at the number of global blockchain patents, Alibaba is now the #1 with around 90 patents, which puts it on top over IBM, for example, or MasterCard. So there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of research in this proprietary blockchain that we're also offering as a managed service, which has some very nice characteristics if you're looking at, for example, speed and scalability. So the service tiers that we're offering right now support up to 25,000 transactions per second, which is really high if you're comparing it to, let's say, more the open source alternatives that are there today in the market. Second very important point is I regard our blockchain service as truly global, meaning you can deploy it in any of our regions, actually, including the 7 regions that we're having in mainland China, and connect all of these regions together through our own backbone network. So just to give you one example what this means, if you have like a distributed blockchain network, which you always or often need if you think about supply chain management, where there are many, many, many different companies who are actually delivering parts of the product you're building or offering. You need to be truly global. If you want your blockchain network to communicate with each other, and some parts are deployed in Germany, other parts are deployed in mainland China, it is really tricky to get it running fast and well. Because if you think about internet communication to mainland China from Germany, for example, you might have noticed that the connection speed is not very fast over public internet, right? There's also a huge packet loss, high latency. So with our approach, you can use our own global backbone network to have all of the nodes communicate with each other over a private network with latencies just as low as 150 milliseconds from Germany to China, for example. So this is really an important point that we're providing. Third point, when it comes to trust and security, actually we were the first, or offered the first blockchain product on our cloud with an integration of Intel SGX, so the server guard extensions. So this gives you the opportunity to have some parts of your data in memory, but only allow cryptographically asserted code to access it. Okay? Once the code is tempered or modified, it cannot access the data anymore. This is really important if you think about decentralized systems, because if somebody gets access, even root access, to some of your nodes, he could tamper with the data, he could tamper with the code running on the node, right? So with the integration with Intel SGX, you can actually remedy a lot of these attack vectors that we're offering with our product. So what are the business application scenarios of our Alibaba Cloud blockchain? And this is actually a reflection of the business scenarios that we are already doing with our own business units, ranging from product provenance to protection of digital rights, supply chain tracing, financing, and data asset sharing. Today, I want to show you two small examples in the area of product provenance and also supply chain management that we're doing now for, I think, 2 or 3 years already with our partners, which is powered by our own blockchain service. So the first example I'm showing here is an example of Tmall Global. So Tmall Global is one of our B2C services. Actually, it allows global brands to sell their product to Chinese consumers. Okay? And what we have started is the so-called food trust framework. Initially, we are cooperating with Fonterra Dairy from New Zealand and Blackmores, which is a vitamin and like a vitamin supplier. And they can use now our food trust framework to trace the entire supply chain from Australia, from the beginning of their own manufacturer production sites to the Chinese consumer. Okay? So this is what we're currently doing with them. The pilot was very successful, I think 1 year ago, and now this is into full production, and I think will become really the fundament of everything we will do with our partners when it comes to cooperating with them to sell their products to mainland China. A second interesting case I want to present here is actually related to this liquor. Who of you has heard about the Mutai liquor? Anybody here? 1? 2? Yeah. Okay, so 3 people. So I also didn't know this liquor. So it's actually, I think, one of the most expensive liquors you can think of. If you're going to mainland China and somebody is giving you a bottle or even just a little zip of this liquor, you seem to be a very important person, you can be sure. So this is usually being donated to presidents or to very, very important people because it's so expensive and very, very limited. So obviously, since it's so expensive and so limited, there are or a lot of counterfeiters, right, who try to imitate and sell fake products. So originally, what Mutai did, they invented this cap, which you can see on the right side, which has a lot of holographic pictures that are moving in the light, really in different layers, really sophisticated. So if you compare it to your own banknotes, it's really nothing compared to that. So this is really, really sophisticated. But still, it relies on the human eye, right? And the human eye is not so good in detecting if it's a 3-layer hologram or a 4-layer hologram. So this is why Mutai partnered with us. And what we were doing with them is we actually combined our online distributed ledger with their offline anti-forgery technology. Okay? So how it's working is, originally we started with an RFID chip that was placed inside the cap of the Mutai liquor, and you could scan the Mutai with your smartphone. It had a unique ID, and then in the app, you could trace actually, where was it produced, what was the distributor, what were the distribution channels, and so on and so forth, to really prove if it's an original or not. All of these information obviously is stored in the blockchain. So this was the first attempt, but it turned out that RFID back then was still very expensive. So we looked at a more cost-effective solution. And how we're doing it today, actually, is with a 2-layer QR code. So if you go into a shop to buy a bottle of Mutai, you can scan the QR code with your Alipay app, for example. And then you get all the information, where it was produced, if it's an original, stuff like that, okay, to trace the entire supply chain, a distribution chain. And then you just pull off this first layer QR code, and below that is a second QR code. And then if you scan the second QR code, it will actually do things. You will automatically pay for the Mutai, okay, if you confirm. And then this bottle will be invalidated. It will be marked as sold in our own blockchain. So this effectively actually hinders counterfeiters or criminals to duplicate any QR codes, copy them, paste them on their own fake bottles. And it's working really well and very effectively. So with this example, I'm actually coming to the end of this short talk. Thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions regarding Alibaba or Alibaba Cloud in general or Alibaba Cloud blockchain in particular, come to us. I think my colleague Tommy is also here. Where are you, Tommy? Are you here? No, Tommy's not here. Oh, there's Tommy. So you can talk to him, actually. Tommy is also really good at blockchain, a real expert on blockchain. So you can ask him all kind of things. Talk to us. We'll be here today and tomorrow. Happy to talk to you. With that, enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.